Soft, reflective intro music begins and fades into the background on September 11th, 2001. The world changed forever. It was a day of horror, of heartbreak, and of unimaginable loss. But in the middle of all that darkness, one man quietly started a mission that would change how America remembers. This is the incredible, true story of George L. Hilda, man who planted flags. It was a clear blue Tuesday morning in New York City. George was out walking his dog when he looked up and saw smoke pouring from the first tower. Erased Ohm turned on the TV and froze. He watched as the second plane hit. He watched as the towers collapsed. Then, an eerie silence fell over the city. The phone lines went dead. The world stood still. For hours, he sat glued to the screen, watching people stumble through the dust, confused, terrified, covered in a thick, gray ash. And then, he saw something that would change his life forever. A firefighter, exhausted and grimy, carrying a small, tattered American flag, holding it high above the rubble. That single image burned into his mind. He thought, if they can carry hope through hell, maybe I can, too. That night, sleep was impossible. George went to his garage, found an old box of flags he normally used for parades, and carefully took one out. He got into his truck and just started driving. As dawn broke, he reached a small bridge just outside Manhattan, a place where survivors, covered in soot, were still making the long, silent walk home. He climbed onto that bridge and raised the flag. There was no speech, no crowd, no cameras. Just one man, holding one flag, for all the people who would never make it home. Slowly, cars began to slow down. Some drivers honked their horns in support. Others simply stopped their cars, got out, and cried. A woman walking past whispered, "I needed to see that today." George knew then what he had to do. The next day, he did it again. And the day after that. Soon, people started calling him the Flag Man. Every single morning for the next year, he drove to that bridge and raised the flag. Through rain, snow, and biting windy, never missed a single day. He always said it wasn't about politics. It wasn't a protest. It was about presence. It was his way of saying, we're still here. We still stand. We will not be broken. After the first anniversary of 9/11s, George did something nobody expected. He packed 3,000 small flags into his truck, one for every life lost that day, and began a journey across the country. His mission was simple: to plant a flag and a memory wherever he went. He planted them at gas stations in the middle of nowhere. He planted them in front of small-town courthouses and local fire stations. But more importantly, he talked to people. He listened to the stories of widows, veterans, and children who had lost someone. He wrote down each of their names in a small, worn notebook. In Oklahoma, he met a man who had lost his son in the Pentagon attack. The man hugged George tightly and said, through tears, "You didn't just plant a flag today. You planted faith." By the third year, George was exhausted. His body ached. His savings were completely gone. But he couldn't stop. He said the flags had become a part of him each, one representing a story, a name, a promise to never forget. He slept in his truck at night, waking up before dawn to start again. He was a solitary figure on a lonely pilgrimage, but he wasn't always alone. Sometimes, strangers would see him and join in. One morning in Kansas, a group of school kids stood with him on the side of the road, each one holding their own tiny flag. George later said it was the first time he had truly smiled in months. His solitary mission had become a shared act of remembrance, connecting people from all walks of life through a simple, powerful symbol. By the 10th anniversary of 9/11s, George had planted over 50,000 flags all across America. He was invited to Ground Zero for the official memorial ceremony. He stood quietly at the edge of the crowd, holding a single, weathered flag in his hands, and wept for the lives lost in the journey he had taken. It was there that a firefighter approached him. It was the same man from the photograph he'd seen 10 years earlier, the one that had inspired his entire mission. The firefighter looked at George and said, "You carried what we couldn't." George, with tears in his eyes, simply replied, "You carried us first in that moment." Two strangers, bound by a decade of grief and resilience, embraced. In 2021, 20 years after that fateful day, George returned to the same bridge where it all began. He was older now and moved a little slower, but he still carried the same flag. At sunrise, he raised it one last time. Then, he left it there, flapping in the wind, a symbol for the next generation to carry on. When a local reporter asked him why he did it for all those years, his answer was profound. He said, "Because grief fades, but gratitude should never." George Hill's story is a powerful reminder that healing doesn't start with grand speeches or monuments. It starts with action, with presence, with one person deciding to show up. He turned an unimaginable loss into a national legacy, reminding us that even in our darkest moments, a single act of hope can illuminate the way forward. Thank you so much for watching and for allowing us to share this incredible story with you. If it moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more stories that matter. We'll see you next time.